So we've got an extremely exciting special episode of Rocket Fuel for you today, and this is part of the node set series that I've been recording over the last month. And this one is with Rhett, who you know is a co-founder of Gravita, and he is, well, Gravita are the ones who are launching Constellation. And in this episode, we get a release date of the nodes of Constellation. We're also going to find out what xrETH and xRPL are, how they work, and we're also going to learn about where you can use them in DeFi, how there'll be incentives for minting those tokens, and what Rhett's hopes are of xrETH and xRPL's growth and Constellation's growth. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Today we have special guest Rhett. Rhett, of course, you remember, has been on Launchpad before, and he is the founder of Gravita Protocol, who were one of the first protocols to integrate rETH for borrowing against and using it to mint stablecoins. Is here because Rhett and Gravita are actually the people who are going to be launching the Constellation protocol and the liquid staking token that comes with it. So, Rhett, welcome to Rocket Fuel. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Yeah, glad to be here again.
So the last time that we had you on was right as Gravita was launching. That was nearly 2 years ago. So how has everything been with Gravita? Like, what's the latest in Gravita?
Yeah, things have been good. So we launched a year ago in May. So it's been a while, and had quite a bit of good growth, especially for the first year. And we launched on several L2s, so you can use your rETH to mint GRI on Ethereum mainnet, on Arbitrum, Optimism, several others, Mantle, even. I can't remember if rETH was on Mantle. Did, several chain launches, which was great. We started a points program that's still running, but not for much longer. And then in the last year, just in 2024, we have had some TVL shrinkage. So we're in a really high interest rate environment. What that has meant for basically all stablecoins is it requires a lot of peg defense. A lot of you may know that Liquidy's actually, they've been suffering some of the same issues we have. So that's how they've come to their V2 design, is to try to build a system that is more peg resilient in a way that's not as hard on borrowers. So we're probably going to adopt some of those same ideas. So that's where Gravita is currently. But our really important, maybe most important upcoming thing is Constellation, xrETH and xRPL. So launching tomorrow.
So that's
which is
Tuesday the 15th. Excellent. Mm-hmm. That's amazing news. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. So xrETH and xRPL, they fit super well within the mission of Gravita, which is to help decentralize Ethereum staking and bring more censorship-resistant stablecoins into DeFi. And so we've known Nick and Wander and the node set team for a really long time. It, I think, is a really big deal for helping Rocket Pool grow. Plus, the node set is so huge. There's currently 260 node operators with 150 more in queue. It's ultra decentralized. So it's the exact sort of thing that we want to be supporting. And we can get into it, but there's some reasons why it makes sense for us to launch it.
So let's talk about that, right? Because when we got the idea of NodeSet in the Rocket Pool community, the idea was that NodeSet were the ones who were going to launch Constellation, and they were going to be the ones to run it. Just I think a month ago, 6 weeks ago, the community kind of got the news that it was actually going to be Gravita who would be running a Constellation, this instance of Constellation. How did that happen? Why was that decision made, and when did you guys get involved in those discussions?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I've known Nick and Wander since both of our products were at Genesis, a couple of years ago when we were both starting to build. We've known each other for a long time. They're self-proclaimed biggest fan for a long time. I think there's a couple of things going on here. So one is NodeSet is a US company with entirely US based team. And there's some regulatory uncertainty right now, as basically everyone knows. So MetaMask got sued for onboarding rETH and STETH, and xrETH kind of fits within that. Launching I don't know what their plans would have been regardless, but launching a token related to NodeSet would be hard. There's a lot of things that are just regulatorily challenging. Gravita is a non-US legally organized entity. It's a Cayman Foundation with a BVI subsidiary. Gravita also has a majority non-US team. I'm the only US team member. And so we're just kind of in a different place. So there's a regulatory thing there. Secondly, Gravita, we and our team are really focused on the DeFi side of things, and the NodeSet team is very focused on building infrastructure. So as xrETH and xRPL go live, we felt like it would make a good partnership for us to be able to, okay, we'll push the growth of this thing, we'll go integrate it into DEX liquidity pools and lending markets, et cetera. We'll build on a lot of the relationships we already have with Gravita. In fact, we're already talking about onboarding it as collateral at a number of lending markets that the Gravita team has relationships with. And so that already is proving to be like a really good kind of collaboration where we can focus on integrations, growth, liquidity, all those things, and they can just focus on making the infra better.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, it seems like you guys have found a really good set of attributes and skills that kind of mesh together really nicely. And I'm really hoping that that comes together to make Constellation as successful as possible. Like I've been excited about Constellation for 2 years now, kind of like the same kind of time that you met Nick and Wanderer. Like that's when I got to know those guys as well, and you as well, of course, all those years ago. So it's a really exciting time for me, as a Rocket Pool community member, but also as a NodeSet fan and a cheerleader. So that's awesome. How involved are you guys going to be with the node operator side of things? Are you going to be involved in the selecting or running of any nodes?
Yeah, good question. So a few of the team members are members of the node set, and they're Rocket Pool node operators and members of the node set. There's a strong separation of responsibilities here. Node set is kind of the service provider. So node set onboards members to the node set, they interface with them, etc. We own the product. Constellation is an open source software that anyone can deploy, but the canonical version, Gravita will own and deploy. But managing the node relationships with the node operators and a lot of the system parameters they manage with our, we're in close conversation, but they manage those things as that kind of infra provider.
So then you guys, what you'll be doing then is handling the depositing and minting. So you'll handle the deposits of ETH and RPL and the minting of xrETH and xRPL. And then that will just go to the node operators who NodeSet run and they'll stake it. Is that the right understanding of what's happening?
Exactly, yeah. So you go to the Gravita application, you deposit your ETH, and you receive back xrETH. That ETH that you minted on the Gravita app goes into mini pools run by members of the node set, and that the parameters of that system are run by the node set team. So
excellent.
Yeah. So that's the basics of how it works.
Let's talk. Yeah. So let's talk about the node operators first, right? So I have been selected to be a NodeSet node operator as well. So really excited to get those validators online as soon as possible tomorrow, hopefully, which is really cool. But what kind of income can I be thinking of as a node operator now with Gravita's Constellation product?
Yeah, good question. So the goal here is to keep the staking highly distributed. So there's a parameter in the system that basically sets how many nodes any one node operator can have at a time. And at first it'll be set to 1. So once every node operator in the node set has a node running, then it'll be dialed up and then you'll be able to get another one, etc. From an income perspective, the node operator will be capturing roughly half of the rETH commission. So you get delegated 8 ETH and you're paired to 24 rETH. That 24 rETH is paying a 14% commission. 7 of the 14 is being paid to the node operator. And so per node, you're getting 7% of the yield on 24. And then ideally we grow a lot and you could be running dozens of these, for example. And the really positive thing is if you're already a node operator, then the increased overhead should be pretty limited to be running these.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So I think that's what we want to see. We want to see node operators getting multiple validators each and many multiple validators each. So they'll actually think of this as a nice little revenue stream, right? If you are running, I think 15 validators, that'll be the same amount of income as one solo validator or thereabouts. So that's really awesome to see. Now tell me a little bit about xrETH. What's special about xrETH?
Yeah, great question. By the way, the 15 validators is similar to one solo. is also without having to put up any capital yourself. So that's the real
Of course,
beauty
yeah,
of it, because it's all
yeah,
being
that's
delegated to you. So,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
so, so yeah, I think xrETH is kind of this really awesome why not both sort of product where typically there's this trade-off between, do I want a highly decentralized LST, or do I want a higher yielding LST? Because the node operators and the system service providers, Graviton nodes that are being paid on the underlying commission of rETH, we charge a 0% commission to xrETH holders. So it'll be the only sustainably 0% commission LST. So Lido's 10%, rRPL is 14, CBETH is 25, and this will be 0. So really awesome on that side. And then it will also be basically at launch the second most decentralized LST after Rocket Pool. And so, you know, in the order of tenfold more validators than, like distinct validators than Lido, for example. So very decentralized and high yielding. And so we think it'll be a really special product. Now, it will always remain a niche product because at most it could, even if all of the nodes of Rocket Pool run by the node set, it could only have like a third of the TVL of rETH because of it's running mini pools under the hood. That's totally okay. It's okay for it to be smaller than rETH and for it to like, you know, help kickstart the growth of rETH as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about some DeFi integrations that xrETH will have, and like what your strategy towards those are. Can you share some like alpha or some little like or ideas, even like not necessarily mentioning names, but like what kind of integrations are you guys working on? Like what kind of integrations do you want to see happen for xrETH like over the next like month, 6 months, year? Like how do you see that going?
Yeah, great question. I think the thing that people most want to do with an LST is borrow either ETH against it to do looping / hyperstaking, whatever you want to call it, or borrow stables in order to lever up. It will be onboarded as collateral to Gravita, but that's actually not the first integration we're looking at. Gravita is right now a little bit focused on maintaining stronger peg before we increase borrowing again. And there's some changes we'll be making to the Gravita system probably before onboarding xrETH, and the Gravita Gov token will go live also relatively shortly after xrETH. So the thing people most want to do is borrow either stables or ETH. We're already in discussions with multiple lending protocols that are very eager to onboard it. There's 3 that we're chatting with right now. All are very interested and open. We'll announce their names as those integrations come. Our first integrations from a lending perspective are likely to be on some of the L2s. We're definitely open to do it on Ethereum as well, but just, some of the really high quality lending markets that are also very open to early onboarding, I just happen to be kind of some of the L2 lending markets. So that's a really big one. As part of that, one of the criteria for all of these lending markets is some DEX liquidity. So we will be incentivizing some liquidity pools for xrETH paired against either ETH or other LSTs. rETH would be a good one. We're open to doing things with others, but we think, if xrETH is as successful as we hope that it will be, we'll actually need to probably help drive more growth to rETH as well. Because once we drain the deposit pool, we need to help refill the deposit pool. So we've even talked about potentially at that point incentivizing like a 3-to-1 balancer pool of rETH to xrETH. So as that balancer pool grows, it would grow kind of rETH and xrETH in lockstep. So those DEX pools will be important for growth in that way, but they're also important to get these lending market integrations. Because withdrawals will be turned on from day one, and we have the power to unwind the whole system at any time because we have the withdrawal keys, that de-risks it a lot for these lending markets. So they still need some DEX liquidity, but they don't need a ton, and we don't need to get like one of those really hard to get Chainlink oracles, etc. So that's the real focus. DEX liquidity as a base and as a growth driver, and then lending markets as our main focus.
That's amazing, yeah. So the Rocket Pool community, of course, has the Incentives Management Committee, and they do co-incentivization of liquidity for rETH. So if you guys put money towards that, then maybe, the Rocket Pool community can chip in some there as well and try to make that as strong a pool as possible to help both protocols, right? Like you said, because as rETH grows, it will help reduce node operator bottlenecks on Rocket Pool and really help more validators come online, which of course is what we all want to see, for Rocket Pool to be more decentralized, for node set to be incredibly decentralized as well. So tell me a little bit about what kind of incentives you guys have going for the minting of xrETH. I know that you guys have mentioned that there'll be some incentives from the beginning. How is that going to look?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the initial program is this really interesting kind of, it's kind of a kickstart the growth of xrETH program. And there's two criteria to qualify, and then I'll tell you what you earn. So to qualify, you need to deposit ETH and mint xrETH within the first month that we're live. So that's between October 15th and November 15th. And then you need to hold that xrETH. And by hold, you still can use it in, like, if we have a lending market integration, you can use it there, but you need to hold it for at least 6 months. So those two criteria, if you mint in the first month, hold it for 6 months, then you're going to get a share of the xRPL fees that we're earning. So xRPL will be the only RPL LST. We think it'll be really interesting for a number of reasons. It'll be the best way to earn yield on your RPL if you're not running a mini pool yourself. Also, for those who consider liquid staking a taxable event, we think that a lot of people will be able to, use it as a tax loss harvesting thing. I'm, not tax advice, but if that's what you consider that to be, we're taking a 35% commission on xRPL to start, and then what we will do is we will share with the people who qualify for that program between 25 and 40% of those fees, of those first 6 month fees. Now, the way that 25 to 40% works is if we have 10,000 or less xrETH at the 6 month mark, then we'll share 25%. If we are above 10K, at or above 10K, then we will share 30%. At 25K xrETH, we'll share 35%. And at 50K, we'll share 40%. What this means is a couple of things. This is kind of like a supercharged referral program. So if you deposit, let's say we get 5,000 ETH deposit in the first month. If those people can go and help us drive growth over the coming months, not only does the percentage go up, but you're earning off of all of our xRPL fees. Those fees go up as the system revenue goes up as well. So if a bunch of people come in, deposit, we get 5K in the first month, and then by month 3, we have 50K xrETH, then the rev share is really high. The total revenue goes way up because of the TVL, and the share of the revenue goes up as well. So that's the initial program that we're going to do to try to kind of like encourage the community to come deposit, but also share with your friends over the next 6 months. And we're actually going to share a calculator so that you can mess around with your own parameters and get a sense of like how much of a boost you think that will be, because there's different things that can determine this. How much we're earning on xRPL. There's a few factors that play into that. There's some potential parameter changes to Rocket Pool itself that could affect some of these things, et cetera. So the community can come in and play with that and get a sense of like what this could look like over the first 6 months. And then anything else that we're going to do after that, I mentioned that like once the deposit pool is deleted, we may need to help rETH grow in lockstep and maybe incentivize liquidity pool. We'll look at that once that happens. So this is our initial program, and then we'll be looking at those other things as needed. And hopefully they're needed soon. Hopefully we grow super fast, delete the deposit pool, get it persistently empty, and then our problem flips and we go solve that problem instead.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about any factors you have for xRPL then? Like what ideas do you have for? Is that just going to be a mint and hold kind of token, or are you going to do stuff like that too?
The bigger focus is xrETH for sure, but xRPL we think will be interesting too. So, our Aave takes RPL. We think xRPL would be a great one to take as well. So like I said, the main focus we think needs to be on xrETH at first, but deepening liquidity for xRPL and RPL, I think will help the whole system. Thin liquidity has been a challenge for Rocket Pool. So doing some liquidity work and then getting it onboarded to those same lending markets that we're talking with as well, including Gravita, are things that we're very interested in. But those, like I said, we think that the primary focus first should be xrETH and deleting the deposit pool, and then xRPL from there. So it'll be a lot of the same sorts of integrations, deepening DEX liquidity and getting lending market integrations.
I was the first person to win xRPL yesterday. Actually, engaged with the ecosystem contracts because your front end was already minting my xRPL, so you got me.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
you're the Genesis xRPL holder. I love it.
That's right. Yeah, that's me. One and only. So I'm really excited for you guys being on it. Now, tell me, Rhett, like, what are your ideas for Constellation and, for the review that's going to go on? Hopes, fears, like, what kind of things have been going through your mind about this?
Yeah, good question. I think, like I mentioned a few times, our hope is just to help delete the deposit pool as quickly as possible and then move to help the whole system grow really quickly. I think, yeah, our hopes are that it grows really quickly and helps kind of unstop the growth of Rocket Pool. Rocket Pool's growth has been flat for a little while. It's been a major node operator bottleneck. We think this solves that in a great way. So that's our hope. I guess fears. I don't know that I have a lot of fears. There's always a possibility that there's less interest than we think there will be. Another type of integration we are looking to early, get quick is some restaking integrations. A lot of people want to take their rETH or their LSTs and restake them in EigenLayer or others. We want to bring that to xrETH as well. So fears. Yeah, I don't know. I think I guess it would be disappointing if we don't grow the way that we think that that it deserves to. Or the other would be that we grow for a short period of time and then the work to kind of refill the deposit pool gets really hard. So if it's interesting, we actually we want there to be a balanced demand for rETH and xrETH, right? So if we vampired the rETH, then we would block our own growth, right? So what we really want is to be able to drive major growth to both. And, it's the deposit pool has been full for long enough that there's just this uncertainty of like, how hard will it be to refill it once we've drained it? And we hope that it'll be easy, but there's always the possibility that, there's more LSTs to choose from now. Maybe it's going to be harder than
Music. Will I earn any like for minting xrETH or xRPL? Is that cost collection that way, or is that not something you guys are doing?
We don't currently have that implemented, and I'll tell you why. So xrETH people will benefit from the Graviton Gov token, but we're coming to the tail end of our points program. We're going to be launching the Gov token likely within about 2 months after xrETH goes live. So adding more kind of points accrual things, that there is like dev overhead there. And we think just going live with the token already is more important. We are going to use a chunk of the token supply to help with the growth of xrETH and xRPL. So we don't have the exact details live yet, but we've looked at both liquidity incentives and referral type programs. But instead of marks, we think it's better to just get the token live and then use the actual token. I think we're kind of like the era of points is kind of coming to an end. So for us and everyone.
That's right. And when I go to mint xrETH and mint xRPL, can you share the URL? Is there one yet?
Yes, it's it's the same application. So it's app.gravitonprotocol.com. Go there. There will be a tab for xrETH and xRPL. Should be super simple. Just deposit your ETH, mint xrETH, same with RPL, and then you can unwind it the other way. So yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say about unwinding, and there'll be two ways you can unwind either through the protocol or secondly, so Rocket, for example, kind of deposit pool for that basis. Is there going to be anything like that for xrETH and xRPL where you have like a buffer amount just for people to unwind through the protocol?
Yes, there will be a buffer. So if there's not DEX liquidity and you want to unwind, there will always be some amount of ETH that you can just unwind at a moment's notice. And then if there's major unwinds needing to take place that the buffer can't handle, then we would basically unwind validators. Because we have with withdrawal keys, we have the ability to do that. We prefer not to. We want the validator set to be growing all the time, not shrinking. We don't want a lot of validator churn. But if there's very large minters, they can even get in touch with us and say, hey, I really need to unwind this huge amount of xrETH. How do we do it? And we'll be able to facilitate that.
It's amazing. And is there anything else that you or this episode exciting? We've covered everything really well.
Let's see. Just want to say we love Rocket Pool in the community, and we love WAC and Rocket Fuel. So really glad to be on here again.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing exciting news to me and the audience. And I know that they've been waiting for it as much excitement as I have, and I'm hoping that you guys get all the success, a huge amount of TBL growth really quickly, and with that possible, that's what we will see. So I'm really happy with everything. We have that huge thanks to you, like Wanda, the Notes team, you guys all. all doing really, really cool stuff. I'm so excited about this. So thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Same. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I'll see you soon.
Bye.